This video is brought to you by the Wellness Investors. The Wellness Investors are a collective of individuals with uniquely diverse backgrounds. Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and entertain. Visit thewellnessinvestors.com and start enhancing your life, one sector at a time.
Hey guys, this is Chad from the Wellness Investors. It's been mentioned on several other podcasts that we're a part of that a lot of what we focus on as far as the Wellness Investors goes is going to be mental health related. That is my background. Our tagline for the Wellness Investors is trying to enhance and improve your life one sector at a time. And when we talk about mental health and the general life occurrences, that's definitely something I think that we could improve on and could help your life, could enhance your life. So you're going to hear us talk about mental health quite a bit. So as a mental health professional, one of the things I've been lucky to be a part of for many years is I actually lead a group of kids that are at risk. So they are at risk of, maybe some juvenile detainment, maybe some charges being charged, maybe just some issues at school. Maybe they're giving their parents a tough time at home. So I run a group and have run a group for many years that kind of focuses on some of these kids, mostly teenagers, but we do get younger at some points. And one of the things I see is sort of a reoccurring theme is that kids and people get angry and they don't always have the proper outlets in place. They don't always have the proper skills developed to try to address that anger and deal with that anger. So one of our main focuses in group is how we deal with this anger. If you have a life where you're never angry, ever, 24/7, always happy, always rainbows and sunshines, I'm jealous of you. But most of us, I would say for the most part, we get angry. And what we do with that anger really kind of determines how our life goes. I've used the example many times where anger can and is useful at times. We can take our anger and make changes that happen personally, and even beyond that. When I think about people that's used anger as a gift or use it in a way that has made changes, there's really two people that kind of come to mind. The obvious one is MLK. He had a lot of anger and a lot of want and desire to change, and to change not only himself or the people that were close to him, but change on a level it's hard to even comprehend. And he used that anger in ways to make that change. The other example that I use quite often is somebody that has used anger in a sometimes appropriate way that has really had an influence on people is Tupac Shakur. Now, Tupac Shakur, I think he would be the first to admit if he was alive and well, that he always didn't make the right choice and he found himself in trouble at a lot of times. But I think more than anything, his influence is so vast and so great on people of his culture and people that have some of those same feelings and sentiments that he had. So when I think of two people that used anger oftentimes, and they did it in a way that was meaningful and elicited change, I think of those two. Now I would say those are of the minority. I think for the most part, what I see, especially the people that I talk to, they would admit and they would readily say that my anger gets the best of me and that it's not useful for the most part. And it causes more problems than it's able to be helpful. So when we're talking about those types of situations, it's important for us to look at anger for what it can be. Then also, how do we minimize the damage that it causes? And I think one of those ways is skill developing how we handle our anger and what we do with it, and cognitive development and awareness. I'm getting angry. This is what it feels like when I'm angry or when I'm starting to ramp up and when I'm getting triggered. Then I can put some things in my life and some people in place that I can go to, that I can talk to, some kind of activity that I can do to get my anger out. So there are many different types of anger, but I would say the one that I see the most with the people that I talk to, and I kind of use this example when I'm talking with kids and teenagers, I try to simplify it as much as I can. That way anybody can understand it. So a lot of times when we're talking about anger, I'll use a lot of metaphors, a lot of analogies to help them try to understand what we're talking about here. So the two types of anger that I see most common is what I refer to as airplane jet taking off. Okay. So our day might start out okay, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe we didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. Maybe we're a little bit grumpy. Maybe we're a little bit hungry. But when you have a passenger flight taking off, it needs a runway, and it slowly and gradually starts to increase in speed, increase in takeoff and lift and all that. So though our day might have started on the runway or with a very low level of anger, it gradually increased throughout the day. It's starting to heighten and intensify. And then maybe by the end of the day or the climax of the anger, it was at the level that's common with flight. The other example I use for the other type of anger style that I see the most is the rocket ship that's standing on the platform, and it takes off and it immediately goes straight up in the air, and it goes very quickly, very high, very fast. And I think if we're not a person that's like that, then we maybe even know some people in our life that are like that. The interesting thing about both of these types of anger is that ultimately they could all end up at the same intensity level, the same height, but they just get there two different ways and at two different speeds. So it's important to develop just some basic coping skills and strategies when dealing with anger, but finding out where your anger comes from and the anger style that you have is important as far as how do we cope with it? How do we deal with it? How do we plan for it? I think we get caught up in our day in and day out. We're not intentional about some of the things that we do and we don't do in our lives. And I think that can negatively affect us quite a bit. So if you know someone that has an anger problem and they're trying to manage their anger in a way that's not harmful to themselves and others, it's important, I think, as one of the first steps, into recognizing how quickly your anger comes and how to deal with it and what your anger style is. So finding out what your anger style is very important. A large part of the things that we're going to be covering on the Wellness Investors is not the emotion itself, but the way you respond to the emotion. It's not the emotion, it's our reaction to the emotion. So part of the content that you're going to receive from us is going to be dealing with some of those emotions. And it's the common ones that we have. It's the common ones that we know. It's the common ones that we deal with throughout our life. So full disclaimer, the content that we provide is not intended to be advice. The content that you're going to receive when you subscribe for the Wellness Investors, part of that information that you receive, part of the content that you receive is going to be a basic understanding of some of the emotions that people deal with, sometimes on a daily basis, and developing skills, developing strategies to help us manage that emotion. Again, it is not the emotion itself. It is our response to the emotion. So whether you personally are dealing with some of these things, or somebody in your life is dealing with some of these things, or maybe somebody in your family or even your own kids are having some kind of issue in dealing with their emotions, we're going to talk throughout this series about how to deal with those types of things. We started with anger first because just from my services that I am able to provide and have provided for a lot of years, that one seems to be the most common. So what you can expect is the development of skills, harnessing that energy and using it in appropriate ways, or releasing it in appropriate ways. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be releasing more content soon, so be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.
This video is brought to you by the Wellness Investors. The Wellness Investors are a collective of individuals with uniquely diverse backgrounds. Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and entertain. Visit thewellnessinvestors.com and start enhancing your life, one sector at a time.